Welcome to this Energize presentation on the Creating Active Schools framework. That is one way we support those working in educational settings to think about the importance of movement as part of their daily culture. It can help educators to take a holistic view of their setting and, with our support if desired, create more varied and embedded opportunities for movement within the school day. This presentation can be used to hold your own training session or to be shared more widely with other stakeholders that make up your school community. My name is Sam Ostermeyer and I am the Programme Manager for Children and Young People for Energize, the active partnership for Shropshire, Telford and Wrekin. Until September 2025, I was a practicing qualified primary school teacher with 14 years experience across the county, both as a class teacher and middle leader, leading on physical education, whole school physical activity and wider wellbeing programmes through a holistic approach to children's health. You'll hear me use the words us and our throughout today. While I now work in schools in an advisory basis, rather than be employed by one and no longer teach a class, I still consider myself a teacher as one of your extended colleagues and will always remain part of the profession. I have been in your shoes, know what schools are up against on a day-to-day basis, yet can hopefully help you go some way to reimagine what the school day can look like so it is more fun and engaging for children and young people and staff alike. What I talk about in this presentation is my passion as both an educator and parent, which led me to this opportunity working for Energize, supporting a wider network of schools using my knowledge and experience through a co-design process with schools. The Creating Active Schools framework is a collaborative process designed to fit around existing wider school priorities as a complement rather than a bolt-on. There is no one-size-fits-all to this, and by embracing the framework, all of an education setting stakeholders will feel empowered to use physical activity as a vehicle for change. Since the Physical Literacy Consensus Statement for England was devised in 2023, this has been a key focus for organisations working within health and sports development. The statement was developed in consultation with over 60 researchers and stakeholders, led by Liverpool John Moores University, with a challenge to define what physical literacy means and how it can be translated into accessible language for all. So what is it? Physical literacy refers to the degree to which we have a positive and meaningful relationship with movement and physical activity. It is a complex and ever-changing relationship. It reflects our connection and commitment to them both, influenced by various factors such as our thoughts, feelings, engagement and experience. On a fundamental level, physical literacy is our relationship with movement and physical activity throughout life. In even simpler terms, it can be thought of as meaningful movement. Physical literacy is above all personal and is a journey across our lifetime that can experience peaks and troughs, sometimes positive and sometimes less so. This is influenced by the world around us as well as the people within it. The quality of our relationship with movement and physical activity profoundly influences our choice to be active. Having a positive and meaningful relationship with movement makes us more likely to be and stay active, benefiting our health, well-being and quality of life. Physical literacy is influenced by the 4 domains that provide this holistic education and all play a crucial role in shaping this for an individual. How we move, connect, think and feel during movement and physical activity plays a crucial role. In the physical domain, we develop physical competencies, learn new skills and step up to challenges. Socially, we connect with new friends, embrace the environments we are active in and feel a sense of belonging through team participation. By doing activities that we enjoy, find meaningful and value, we deepen our connection with movement and physical activity, and this will help us foster an ongoing commitment to maintain an active lifestyle. Cognitively, we develop understanding of new ways to be active, learn new information through the experiences such as the rules of how to play a new game, which element we enjoy, or alternatively, whether it is not for us and to try something else. Emotionally, positive movement experiences make us feel good and happy, energized or determined. If we experience positivity through these 4 domain areas, a positive relationship with movement should follow. We find meaning, discovering what matters to us and what the purpose of our participation is. Is it for fun, challenge, to develop skills, social interaction or for time outdoors? We find enjoyment through intrinsic motives. Does movement provide us fun, happiness, pleasure or satisfaction? Finally, we gain value in why we are moving in the way chosen and ask ourselves what the benefits are for us. Is it physical and mental health gains, improved well-being, a heightened sense of belonging, or the development of life skills? Physical literacy, developed through physical activity choices, are the constantly turning wheels that drive a lifetime of connection with movement, influenced by the environments we move in and the people who surround us. The PLEY or play model here demonstrates this in a clear and understandable way for educators. The challenge for us is to consider our offer in schools and colleges to our children and young people with this consciously at heart. Having just listened to what physical literacy is and about the importance of it, here's a chance to pause here and reflect. What is your why when it comes to movement choices? Which of these resonate with you? And what is it they provide in line with the move, connect, think and feel domains? Pause the video here, have a discussion with your group. When you're ready to continue, press play. Understanding physical literacy in the course of our lifetimes can help us to understand this journey, one sometimes of ebbs and flows. Certain periods of our life can impact our movement choices profoundly and lead us in new directions. Our journey with physical literacy may take us in different directions and down routes we did not think we would go down. Now it's the opportunity for another quick activity and a chance to reflect on your relationship to movement. Our childhood experiences with movement can deeply influence how we feel about physical activity throughout our lives, and it's really important to connect with those. As a child, how did you engage with movement? Was it playful, structured, joyful, or challenging? These early experiences often shape our lifetime attitudes towards physical activity, when we realise it or not. For me, being active has always been a constant in my life, my go-to medicine. The chance to move, belong, and to form an identity through physical activity and sport has given me a sense of purpose and connection, and this lived experience influenced my approach to teaching, as well as now as a parent. The movement I now find meaning in has changed, and is different to the younger version of myself growing up. It is vital that we understand our own feelings towards movement and physical activity, recognising these as positive or negative, and crucially understand that this journey is not over and can be put onto an upward trajectory once more by understanding what movement can provide for us and what different choices can offer for us personally. Grab a piece of paper and a pen and chart your own journey. Where do you find yourselves currently? What could change to influence on this positively? Discuss this as a group, and when you're ready to move on, press play. Let us now consider why physical activity is such a good investment for schools. Movement within education settings is not just about PE and school sport. This is about children moving more and being physically active at any given opportunity. Multiple research projects provide convincing evidence of the many benefits of this for our pupils. It is vital that we provide this opportunity for our children and young people to sit less and move more. I'd now like you to watch this short video by Dr. William Bird, a GP with a passion for children's health, produced for the Youth Sport Trust, which explains the physiological effects of being active and really reinforces the important role you all play in supporting the physical health and mental well-being of your pupils.
Our bodies are more or less the same as those of our forefathers, the hunter-gatherers. Industrial and technological revolutions happened so fast that our bodies haven't been able to catch up. We live in a world where we can spend all day not moving, and this impacts on our emotional and physical well-being. The Department of Health recommends that children do at least 60 minutes of physical activity every day. But well over half of the UK's children aged between 5 and 15 don't achieve this. As well as influence from the family, teachers and schools have a big part to play in helping children to sit less and move more. Helping them to understand that physical activity is the key to a healthy and successful life. Every living thing is made of billions of cells. Inside each cell are little batteries called mitochondria. These are constantly charging up, ready to be used through physical activity. If we are inactive for too long, the mitochondria get overcharged, and this can cause inflammation in the cells. This is thought to be a significant contributor to virtually all long-term conditions. Inflammation can start in children as young as 6, so it is absolutely essential to educate and instill good habits for children to be up and active from an early age. Physical activity releases myokines into every cell of the body. These proteins dampen the inflammation. Exercise does so much good for the body and the brain. It connects more neurons together to increase brain power, and this improves concentration, creativity, and memory. Exercise can even make the brain bigger. The boost to the immune system can last up to 6 hours, so it's important to exercise regularly. An active school environment directly contributes to better behaviour and improved results. But more importantly, it creates children who move around more, who are healthier, happier, better behaved and more engaged. Active children make strong students.
Further to add to the why this is important, I now apologise for providing some rather stark figures that really bring this home. The latest Active Lives Survey national data for December 2025 shows that currently less than half of all children meet the Chief Medical Officer guidelines of at least 60 minutes of activity per day for children aged 5 to 16. In addition, nearly a third of children are doing less than 30 minutes of activity per day. According to the latest National Childhood Measurement Programme data, excluding the peak in 2020 to 2021 during the pandemic, this is the highest obesity prevalence seen in reception since it began in 2006 to 2007. 1 in 10 children are living with obesity when they start schools, and this rises to 1 in 5 by the time they're in Year 6. We know that children from lower affluence families continue to have lower activity levels than those from higher affluence families. We want to address these inequalities and ensure that all children have the same opportunities to be active. We also know that mental health disorders are on the rise, particularly amongst adolescents. So, in an average class of 30 children, 16 will not be meeting the CMO guidelines for being active. 7 will be overweight or obese by the time they leave primary school. 5 will have some form of mental health issue. This is over half the class who are being affected by issues which can be addressed by physical activity. The 10-year government national sports strategy, Uniting the Movement, states that it is our duty to intervene at a young age to ensure that individuals get active, enabling every child to reach their academic and economic potential. Schools and colleges, as a place where children and young people spend a significant amount of time learning, are a prime position to be at the fore when it comes to helping support this agenda. By doing so, we can help avoid even scary stories like this. When considering the rising prevalence in negative mental health, 1 in 6 children aged 5 to 16 are likely to have a mental health problem. That's 5 children in a classroom of 30. In the last 3 years, the likelihood of young people having a mental health problem has increased by 50%, according to the Children's Society Good Childhood Report. In addition, the UK is ranked the lowest out of 24 European countries for the proportion of 15-year-olds with high life satisfaction. With the recent release of the school's white paper, the government aims to, quote, create a simple, logical system to meet the needs of all children and young people with SEND. This starts with a universal offer of support which every child will benefit from across all schools. This includes high-quality adaptive teaching, calm environments, and early help when needed. We expect most children will have their needs met through this offer. The onus here is on schools and the wider educational system to consider how all pupils can be supported. We believe that there is a simple and contributing solution to this: the increase of physical activity for all, moving more, and sitting less. It feels like we are at a crossroads, both in schools and in wider society at the moment. The current education system, in my opinion, is not working for our children anymore. They have changed from their interactions to how they learn, and we need to follow suit. This is our chance to address this by creating more opportunities for our children and young people to be active, so physical activity levels increase and the other benefits to well-being and character building follow suit. So whose responsibility is physical activity and more movement across schools? It can no longer just be the PE lead's responsibility. Think about the safeguarding analogy here. It is everyone's responsibility because children's health is safeguarding. The idiom, it takes a village to raise a child, is perfectly applicable here because that village is your school. We need to think about embedding new habits and supporting whole school change, and that needs a new way of thinking and whole school support. At the end of the day, we all share the same desire. We want our children to be happy, healthy, safe and successful, to believe in themselves and to make a positive mark in the community. This is broader than just being about physically fitter and reducing obesity. So how do we achieve this? We need to change the language around movement because this can change mindsets and whole systems. Movement isn't just physical, it is transformational. It's our first language, it's how we communicate, therefore we should embrace it and not inhibit it. Movement can be the golden thread that's woven through the day and through the curriculum, not just a bolt-on. We also need to rethink about what physical activity or movement includes, not just restricting it to PE, 2 hours a week. And ultimately, for this to be successful, we need to develop a whole school culture of curiosity and not judgment. Movement. The Chief Medical Officer's guidelines are for 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity exercise in school and outside. However, the idiom walk before you can run is really applicable here as well. By moving more and sitting less, we are talking about reducing sedentary behaviour, which on a very fundamental level is simply standing up from your desks and moving around the classroom. That would be moving into light intensity. We want to provide a range of opportunities here in what we call exercise snacking. The more regular movement breaks that are offered, the better for our young people. Historically, programs or interventions that are focused on improving physical activity have had little or no effect on activity levels in the long term. They are simply not sustainable. For years, we've taken this intervention approach, for example, the Change for Life programme. Funding is granted, staff are trained, clubs are delivered, but then the funding stops and the habits haven't changed. What we need to do is tackle the root cause of the problem rather than just the symptoms on the surface, and that means changing perceptions, behaviour and systems. Helping children be active needs more than just another initiative or a project, one being done to schools. We want to see change stick that gives children the same opportunities to move and thrive wherever they live and also beyond the school gates. Now here's an opportunity to have an exercise snack of your own. It's a very simple game. We're going to play head, shoulders, knees and toes, but we're going to make it a little bit competitive and to grab an object. So you'll need to be in partners, stood up, facing each other with a cone or an object on the floor in front of you. The facilitator will lead, saying head, shoulders, knees, toes, head, toes, shoulders, but when they want you to grab the object, they will shout cone. And it's your job to try and grab the cone before your partner. After every grab of the cone, take this as an opportunity to read one of these areas and have a discussion around what's currently going on in your school. Name something where your children have an opportunity to be active in the school day. How is physical activity or movement celebrated in your social environment? That's between people to motivate, enthuse and inspire. And how is physical activity or movement promoted with wider stakeholders such as parents? Have some fun with this. When you've played, feedback amongst each other, see if there's any recurring themes and any gaps, and then ready to move on. Now we come on to the National Creating Active Schools framework itself, which is based around 4 areas. Those are policy, environment, stakeholders, and opportunities. By considering these 4 areas, we can take this holistic lens and really assess where your school is currently at with regards to movement and physical activity. Starting at the top, we can think about policy. This is what drives your school and what embeds your school culture. We do have little ability to influence national policy, but we can think about your response to this. For instance, if we are recruiting, is physical activity referenced in the recruitment criteria? Does it form part of the selection process that you would hope that candidates evidence? What about professional development in CPD? If there's been no physical activity or wellbeing CPD, could this be an area of focus for your school? How do you form any policies and your school vision? Does it reference physical activity and wellbeing? Is this part of your school improvement plan? Does it shape your school and culture? Do the people who work in your school know it? Do they live and breathe this? Is it evidence-based? Then we move down to environments. You have your physical environment, both inside classrooms, in hall spaces and corridor spaces, including any field areas, playgrounds, and any other areas which could promote physical activity. We have our social environment. Is it welcoming? Is physical activity promoted throughout your school? Is this also shared amongst stakeholders via communication methods? The stakeholders that make up our school are really important. At the centre, we have our children and young people, teachers and staff, school leaders, including governance. Then we have those in our community, parents and guardians, and wider stakeholders who are visitors or part of your school in the wider sense of extracurricular clubs. And finally, we have opportunities. And the key part here is what's going on in curricular lessons, which is non-PE. Then we have our PE lessons, break and lunch times, any events that happen throughout the school calendar, before and after school club wraparound provision, active travel in how children are actually travelling to school, and then any family or community oriented events as well. So using the Creating Active Schools model, what I'd like you now to do as a group is to reflect on the status of physical activity and well-being in your school. Be honest and be a bit hard on yourselves. Only add something if you feel you're consistently doing it. Take post-it notes, write one thing that's happening around your school under each area and place them on the framework in the appropriate place. This would be a policy, environment, stakeholders, environment. You might find that some of them are applicable to more than one, so you decide where you think is best. The idea is to highlight where you're supporting or helping your pupils to be active. Spend about 10 minutes on this, making sure you're discussing this throughout. What do you notice? Have you realised that all your initiatives focus in specific areas? Where are your gaps? Typically, most ideas are focused around the opportunities section with gaps around the top part of the framework. Opportunities are the tangible part that we see every day. However, if it isn't embedded in policy and ethos of the school, it isn't sustainable. Now, thinking about what you've just done, recognising where the gaps might be, what do you as a school have the ambition of doing to enhance your physical activity and wellbeing offer for your children and staff? Be creative, be ambitious, but also be realistic in terms of what you can achieve. It's best to make 1% increases than trying to make a 20% increase, which will fall down. It could focus on each of the different areas, but choose your top 3 priorities and number them 1 to 3. Hopefully you've found that a meaningful and thought-provoking process. If you'd like to explore the Creating Active Schools framework further with our fully funded support, then we can offer you a fully supportive process through a management group meeting, completion of a self-review toolkit, assistance in setting 3 priorities and guidance provided in order to help you work on those, and then follow-up meetings following implementation of your priority areas to try and embed those and then develop further. Through our work on the Creating Active Schools, we have now supported over 30 schools in this process. Here is some of the feedback that schools have said. Pause the video here and take a moment to actually consider how it can help your school in a similar way. The future can be bright. Here is some of the feedback from the schools that we have worked with in how the Creating Active Schools framework has helped their school develop, both in terms of physical activity and in terms of their wider school priorities. If you're wanting to undertake the Creating Active Schools process, it's really important to mention here that embedding physical activity into your school is not a one-year project. It does require ongoing support, making small improvements that then become embedded into the school before then working on other actions. The best practice is to set up a Creating Active School team or committee in school, and once the self-review toolkit is completed, to develop 3 priority areas each year with that shared accountability in helping to achieve those through our support. Once that has happened, the whole process will start again of self-review and implementation through to embedding a new priority area. As we approach the end of this training, here's a great opportunity to reflect on what we've learned and what the ripple effects could be, the long-term impacts of creating active schools. In the immediate impact, we have happier, healthier children who are better students, who are achieving more at school and have a stronger sense of belonging and connection. At home, they are sleeping better, their mental health is better, and because of this, behaviour is better and attendance at school is better as well. These children are growing up into adulthood and are having more impact in the community as stronger, responsible citizens. They're more productive in the workplace and then therefore have that greater earning power. And then we start to think about them as parents. Their physical literacy journey has been one of positivity, and that choice of activity has progressed into adulthood, and they are now raising active children, which ultimately is going to reduce stress on healthcare and the NHS. This is the blue sky moment through the work that what you're doing in schools and by adopting this approach could have. Thank you for engaging in this Energize training on the Creating Active Schools framework. I'd now like to leave you with a final video called 5 Extra Years, which reinforces the role we all have to play in helping our children and young people to be more active.
I probably would make a time machine.
I would make medicine for the sick.
I'd probably invent something new.
我会赢到5个总冠军戒指。
If I could have an extra 5 years to live.
You said 5, right?
5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much.
I would get more hamsters.
I would probably want to go looking for dark matter.
I think I'd go looking for aliens.
If I could live an extra 5 years,
I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime.
I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna.
I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks.
eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas.
I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
A video that really brings it home. I think we can all agree that if we have the opportunity to reverse the shocking facts we've heard today around children's sedentary behaviour and inactivity, we all have a responsibility to help. My name is Sam Ostermeyer. I'm the Programme Manager for Children and Young People at Energize. Please do get in contact with me if you would like to explore the Creating Active Schools framework coming to your school.